Now the next things, as we are aware of a latent class model by and large which covers so many things, which includes your EFA, CFA, path model, etc. So quickly I'll just brief. What about exploratory factor analysis? Why we have to use it and what is the procedure for that? Now when you say exploratory factor analysis, one of the objective of using exploratory factor analysis is dimension reduction and summarization. So we have large number of items, maybe 20 or 30 items, and it has to be reduced in a meaningful way and in a sizable way. Then we can use a EFA analysis, and it has to be summarized in a very proper way. Then we can use a EFA. How do you decide the number of factors? Because we have 20 items, 30 items in our hand, and we have to decide only handful of factors or dimension. So that work is taken care by eigenvalue. And eigenvalue is more than 1, automatically it become a factors. In these things, as we are aware of, when you are using EFA, what is a sample size? Normally people raise this question. We will call as a use KMO test. If KMO is more than 0.5, which ensure the measure of sampling adequacy, or shortly what we call as MSA. Whenever I use this EFA model, most of the time, even if you have a sample of 500 or 200 or sometimes even a sample size is below 50 also, we come across KMO is more than 0.5. So in terms of a measure of sampling adequacy, KMO may not really doing a great job, but you can keep KMO as a kind of rule of thumb to ensure that measure of sample adequacy. Then EFA's estimation is estimated by different method. By and large, we may have seen so much of article which was done using a PCA, that is called principal component analysis, but in the very recent years, the literature come from OB area or HR area, which supports that it is better to use principal accessing factor or a maximum likelihood estimation for estimating EFA model. These things probably we can throw more light when you are doing a demo session. In terms of factor loadings, it is better to keep at least 0.5 or sometime 0.4 also can do good job for us. When you say 0.5, it is, as we are aware of this, factor loading is cross loading, mean to say variable 1 will load in factor 1, factor 2 and factor 3 also, but wherever the loading is very high, that will be shown, the remaining part will be suppressed. It is not eliminated, it is just suppressed. And for the ease of interpretation of factor analysis, normally we have to make a rotation method. This rotation method is again based on some assumption. If you assume that, if researcher assume that there is no relationship between factor 1, factor 2 and so, we can use something called Varimax rotation method. If researcher assume that there is a relationship between factor 1, factor 2 and factor 3 and so, we can use Oblimin rotation method. There is some theory for this. It is better to understand the theory before choosing what kind of rotation method we have to use it. And once we get the factors, and it is a duty of researcher should name the factors based on grouping of items. As we are aware of that, when you say dimension or factor, it is a logical grouping of attributes or items. So we have to read very carefully the grouping of items and we have to name it. Most of times it is very challenging because sometimes groups will be formed in such a way that we can make a very good name with the help of literature, or sometimes the different items shuffled together and it may be pulled in one group and very difficult to keep the name of the factors also. However, we can take the support of literature and support of the expert opinion while making the name of the factors. And the outcome of the factor analysis has to be used further for some other analysis in terms of path or in terms of regression or in terms of some other analysis. So the factor scores is the outcome of the factor analysis. We can generate the factor scores by using a regression method or by using a mean score just item parcelling method. So either you can use a regression or you can use a mean score with help of item parcelling method. I will show what is item parceling method when I am giving the demo on this. So, in terms of demonstration of EFA, we will take a data about a motivation which roughly contain 30 items and measured about individual aspirations or motivation. The expected outcome of the analysis to have a 5 or 6 dimension, which is aspiration or the motivation of the people life. It may be a monetary, or it may be learning, or it may be self image, or it may be philanthropy, etc. Let us take this data and I will show step by step how to do this data to use a EFA model.